Well, a lot in my previous videos, I keep mentioning about ways to cut down on gasoline usage or energy consumption, ideas for alternatives to rebuild or create new urban possibilities that are more energy efficient, that are less dependent on the automobile. And I always give you ways to prepare financially against the rising oil prices. But a lot of these kinds of ideas that I keep trying to point out, transit-oriented, pedestrian-oriented, mixed-use planning, therefore the shops, the condos, single-family homes, offices are closer together, they're not so segregated, have been under attack for many, many years. And one of the reasons that we are so addicted and we are slaves to high gas prices is because there are many, many special interest groups and corporations that are benefiting from this disaster. Let me deliver you one of them. One of them is called the Koch Industries. Koch spells in Koch. This is a corporation that many people have been fighting against, including one of the people that I admire many of his views, Tom Hartman. He has a show, The Big Picture, on Russia Today. And what this corporation likes to do, for an example, they set up many organizations like Heritage Foundation, Reason Foundation, and Cato Institute, and they like to label themselves as free market and free minds and so forth. But the reason they're doing that is they want to make their ideas and the things that they support look great. They not necessarily have to be very libertarian. Let me tell you one of the things they do in these organizations. They hire these kinds of lobbyists, like I mentioned before, Randall O'Toole and Wendell Cox. And what they try to do, for an example, is they mention that these kinds of cities that are car dependent, that are segregated by usage, and that feed all the traffic in these collector roads, meaning that every time you get out of the building, you got to hop on the car, they keep mentioning that that is the product of the free market. But that is almost entirely false. It was not done by the free market. A lot of these cities outside the central cities that are very car dependent with their strip malls, segregated housing subdivisions, they were caused by codes, regulations, and subsidies. They mentioned, for an example, that Houston doesn't have any zoning laws, which is one of the reasons why home prices are so cheap. Well, first of all, Houston has a lot of undesirable areas, which reduces home values. Second of all, Houston has a lot of regulations. Even though the zoning may not be so intense, they have street dimensions, they have height restrictions, building setbacks, parking requirements, parking minimums. The roads are planned by the public planners, and so forth. There's approval processes. There's these things that they don't mention, that they keep hiding. And the reason they do that, they keep mentioning that the Houston-style planning is done by a free market, is because they are hired by these corporations to make these car-dependent, oil-guzzling cities to continue to enslaving us and make us more and more addicted to oil. And if you look back at history, you understand that in the 20th century, it was the car companies like General Motors, Standard Oil, Rockefeller that lobbied to tear up the streetcar light rail systems and replace them by highways and car-dependent cities. So that way that these corporations can make a lot of money. So right now, what's happening is that as people want different urban environments that are more walkable, that are more mixed use, and that we can still, many of us have single-family homes depending on the demand, these corporate maniacs are creating these organizations and hiring these lobbyists to kind of kill and destroy these possibilities that I'm trying to advocate for. Here's even the thing. Even if we have cheap oil that's easy to extract, cost efficient, for the next 50 years, we still have to change our urban habits because oil prices will still rise in many instances because of currency devaluation, manipulation by corporate oligarchs, and excess speculation, depending on the situation. So if we have lots of supply, but our oil prices are high, at least we still have a plan B. We can walk to the stores easily to get our nails done, to take the kids to soccer practice, to go to school, or to buy a loaf of bread. We have an alternative. So in every instance, we are prepared. But those ideas that I'm trying to advocate for, that I'm desperate to deliver for my Renaissance, does not want to come true because of these oil and many of these special interest group maniacs. So please give me the chance to spread my word and do everything you can to put these corporations and special interest groups under in a situation that their misleading information is exposed. Well, that is all I have to mention for right now. Thank you very much for listening. Please do what you can. Please subscribe and have a great night.